Ok. I don't know if it's showing up. Boa tarde, pessoal. Sejam todos bem-vindos. Temos um bom número de participantes hoje dessa nossa session, nosso webinar, sobre seleção de programas de estudo nos Estados Unidos. Sejam bem-vindos. Meu nome é Annelise Hoffman, eu sou coordenadora nacional do EducationUSA, que é a fonte oficial sobre estudos dos Estados Unidos em nível superior. Nós somos uma rede de 39 centros espalhados pelo Brasil. Espero que vocês tenham nos encontrado, seja através de um advisor profissional treinado e preparado para dar as orientações sobre estudos dos Estados Unidos, sobre o processo de admissão. Vocês podem ter descoberto nossa webinar por um advisor, por um e-mail, ou até por nossa social media, pelo Insta, pelo Facebook. Então, a gente fica muito feliz de contar com vocês aqui. Como vocês sabem, nós representamos, estamos afiliados ao State Department americano. Nós temos uma missão muito bacana de estar perto de qualquer pessoa que está precisando de orientações sobre estudos dos Estados Unidos. E, com isso, a gente está em várias cidades. Vocês têm o nosso site, onde vocês podem localizar os centros onde estão esses advisors treinados, no educationusa.org.br. Vocês têm as informações sobre os centros, sobre os advisors que estão disponíveis e o nosso calendário de atividades. E uma das coisas que nós sempre temos feito agora, mais do que nunca, que a gente está perto de vocês, não importa em qual cidade vocês estejam, virtualmente a gente pode alcançar todos vocês, nós temos feito esses webinars com as universidades americanas. Temos mais de 4.000 instituições nos Estados Unidos. Nosso trabalho é com todas elas, para trazer o maior número de opções para que vocês façam uma boa escolha e mantenham seus planos para estudar nos Estados Unidos. Nós estamos todos vivendo um momento muito de desafio, de dificuldade, mas que a gente vê com o número de pessoas que está entrando aqui, o quanto as pessoas mantêm seus sonhos ativos e ainda com os planos de continuar estudando, indo para os Estados Unidos. Então, continuem com seus planos, procurem por nós e assistam sessions como essas. Então, mais do que nunca agora, a gente quer continuar criando atividades que permitam com que vocês tenham essas informações. Hoje, já numa segunda-feira, estamos com a Samantha Thompson, que é da University of Wisconsin-Madison. Ela trabalha diretamente no admissions e recrutamento, admissão, né? Essa sessão vai ser em inglês, então, se você já está numa fase de pesquisa das instituições, um ótimo momento também para practice your English. A Samantha vai falar com vocês sobre como selecionar as instituições e fazer a sua lista de colleges ou universidades para estudar nos Estados Unidos, e depois vai fazer um período de perguntas e respostas. Vocês vão poder usar a caixinha do inbox ali para mandar as perguntas, tá bom? Sejam bem-vindos, eu vou passar a palavra para a Samantha, e, por favor, mantenham os seus microfones fechados, e, se puderem, as câmeras também. Depois a gente vai pedir para abrir as câmeras para a gente fazer umas fotos, tá bom? Obrigada, pessoal. Samantha, thank you for waiting for this introduction. Welcome, and the floor is yours, please.
Awesome. First, I want to thank EducationUSA for having me today. It is a wonderful time to start your search. If you are getting ready to start applying in the fall to universities, now is a great time to think about how to research higher education institutions. It's a super gray day here today in Madison. The weather is terrible, and so I'm hoping it's better wherever you're at in Brazil. I wish I were down there with you. But we're going to dive into how you can research U.S. higher education institutions. I'm going to turn off my video. I don't know if you can actually see my face or not, but so that we can just make sure that you can see all the images on the slides. So just kind of an overview about what we're going to talk about today. First, I'm going to give you kind of a landscape of what U.S. higher education looks like. We'll talk a little bit about rankings, how you can find your college fit, actual tips for researching U.S. higher education institutions, because there are so many. And then we'll use my institution, the University of Wisconsin-Madison, as an example for certain different ways that you can consider fit. So first, a question for you all, and feel free to write your answers in the chat. How many higher education institutions do you think there are in the United States? I'll give you a minute to type some numbers. I just want to see what you all think, if you want to participate.
16.
16, yeah. 5,000, 4,000, 5,700, more than 2. These are all good guesses. Some of you are nearly right on the money. It's 4,300 plus. I can't even actually give you a complete number because the number of higher education institutions changes in the US every single year. There are more that are added, there are some that are taken away. So when you think about the US, I'm sure you're thinking about maybe large private institutions, the Ivy Leagues, but know that there are over 4,000 institutions. So that means that there's likely a good opportunity that you might find 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 universities that would be a good fit for you. Part of the difficulty too, I think, with considering US higher education is that there are so many different types of institutions. And in comparison to other areas of the world, we have some unique characteristics that I think make the US among the top places that you can look for an education and what really sets us apart from maybe some other different countries. The first characteristic that I want to touch on that makes US higher education unique is the general education requirements. So you have lots of opportunities to explore. You will complete a 4-year degree program usually for a bachelor's degree, but you'll have the opportunity to take other classes that interest you. You're not going to only take classes within your major. And all institutions mostly in the US are like that, which I'm guessing you probably know since you're in this right now. But also US education institutions are unique in the fact that we offer a variety of services beyond academics. So you can think about career services, recreational sports, housing, dining. Most universities have a plethora of options, and so that can be hard to kind of narrow down what might be most important to you at an institution. We also have a variety of types of institutions that are both public and private. So the difference between a public university and a private university is simply the funding source. Public universities are usually funded by the states, public governments. Private universities have other funding. And that can have different implications in the cost of tuition, different services that are offered, et cetera. There are also a variety of sizes of institutions. We have some very small colleges with 100 people, medium-sized, maybe 1,000, 2,000. Large institutions like mine, the University of Wisconsin, we are 30,000 undergraduates, and some are even bigger. Also, it's important to think about the type of institution you want to attend. And in the United States, we have a variety of different types of institutions. We have some liberal arts colleges like Beloit College. They have different focuses that are different compared to like a research university like mine, the University of Wisconsin. Some are religiously affiliated, and it depends on the institution how much that religion affects the coursework and the services that are available and the experience that you have as a student. We also have regional institutions like the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point. It's a smaller UW system school considered a regional institution. Community and junior colleges. So this is usually like a community college. You'll do 2 years there. You can earn an associate's degree, or you can also take your 2 years there and transfer into another institution like Madison Area Technical College, and then the Polytech Institutes. And these usually focus on specific areas of study. For example, the Milwaukee School of Engineering focuses on engineering. So these examples of colleges are all just in the state of Wisconsin. So when you're thinking about the whole United States as a whole, you have a lot of different institutions that you can choose from, and they all have their strengths, they all have weaknesses. So when you're researching institutions, you really want to get an understanding of what type of institution they are and what they call themselves. Also, what makes the US higher education kind of landscape unique is the admission requirements and philosophies. Unlike the UK, which kind of has one application for the whole UK system, in the United States, there are a variety of different admissions requirements and philosophies that are happening at each individual school and college. So for example, does your university have holistic admissions? Is there a certain threshold you have to admit or have to hit in order to be admitted? Or is it just open? If you apply, you're admitted. What application do you have to fill out to apply? We have the Common App. There are systems applications, coalition apps. What kind of materials do you need to send in? All universities have different materials, essays. Some offer interviews. We don't have interviews at our institution. Do places require standardized tests? SAT, ACT, TOEFL, IELTS, etc. What is the selectivity of the university that you're applying to? So is the university competitive for admission? Is admission less competitive? And what are the academic rigor of your aptitudes compared to the university? And finally, the type of application plan. Early action, regular decision. You're going to come across a lot of different terms that you really need to do the research and understand, and they vary from institution to institution. So part of the whole way of understanding what university might be a good fit for you is also understanding the terms and what you need to do when you're researching so that you have a full understanding of what the university will require of you or college. So because there is a lot happening in the United States, I often get this question from students. So where do I start? And my favorite question to ask students when they're researching universities is, okay, so what are you doing? Like, what are the Google terms that you're putting in? Or how are you going about your own search? And the number of times that I get students who tell me that they're just Googling the term best colleges in the United States is astronomical. So many students use that term, best colleges in the United States. But that gives you a very limited thing, because I bet the top 10 universities that come up are going to be limited, and it's probably going to be based solely on rankings or prestige of the university and how many people know about it, because Google does most popular first. Lots of students I know start their search when they're thinking about rankings. Rankings seem like a very basic place to start because if students, if you're wanting to go to a higher education institution in the US, I'm sure you're thinking you want to come to the best university. Best can mean a lot of different things. And also rankings and the ranking methodologies can be very subjective. So they don't always tell the best story about what university might actually be a good fit for you. You can see here that the US News and World Report looks at very different things to come up with their rankings than Forbes magazine does. Some of these are very subjective themes. As you can see here under US News and World Report, one of the top things they look at are academic reputation. What does that even mean? How is reputation defined? How is that measured? So these are very subjective. And you're comparing apples to oranges. An institution like Harvard is not comparable to an institution, I can't even think of another institution that's very different than that. It's not even comparable to my university. There are different types of universities. They all have their strengths, they all have their weaknesses. And so rankings don't always tell the full story. If you're only using rankings as the basis for your measurement for a good university, you are this cat that cannot fit into the box. You're not going to find a university that is a good fit for you because you're only using one basis to try and find the best university or a quote unquote good university. You want to think about fit. And I'm sure you've all heard this a million times. We talk about this a lot in higher education, but you want to figure out what university is the best fit for you. An institution that matches your needs, your aptitudes, your values, and your goals will be a good fit for you. And these are just some examples of areas of fit, but we're going to dive a little bit into that deeper here in a minute. Considering all aspects of fit means that you will be this cat in a happy box with lots of space for you to grow as an individual and to feel safe and to feel at home and to feel like you're being challenged at a university. So to dive a little bit deeper into what fit is, I think fit can be overwhelming when students are first thinking about, well, what's most important to me? And I have lots of different things to consider. Am I looking at major? Am I looking at career services? Am I looking at the community? Well, you're looking at kind of 6 major collective areas that you can kind of break things down into. I like to use these 6 as places to start because most of your questions will fall in or fit into one of these 6 different categories. We're going to break these down a little bit. Just know that when you search online or if you meet with an EducationUSA advisor, they have lots of resources that can help you kind of narrow things down and put things into a list. We'll also talk about that as well. But just thinking about academics, first and foremost, of course, wherever you're going to university is a place that you will be studying. That also means that you're going to be part of a campus community that can look different across the US, a local community, a city, a rural area. Where is the university actually located? What opportunities does that university or institution offer you for professional experience? And then, of course, an important part to think about is opportunities for professional experience. Because I'm guessing when you get out of university, you would like to have a job. So it's important to think about what kind of opportunities are available for you in the city, in the area around you, at the campus for professional experience. Also, you need to think about admissions philosophy and requirements, because you might think a university is a good fit for you, but are you the right match for that university? Universities, we're thinking about match. Are you a good match for us? And that means thinking about lots of different things with that. And of course, finances and scholarships are a huge thing to think about. So you can kind of bucket your different areas of fit into these 6 main areas. So I'm not going to spend too much time on diving deep into each area of these fits, because I think you can find lots of this information online, or even when you're making a list, I'll tell you about areas that you can find them, but just things to think about in relation to academics. What do you want to study? How big are classes? What are your academic aptitudes and strengths? What type of institution is it? The type of institution is going to depend on what might be available for study, professors, etc. Campus community, think about that as the campus itself and the university itself. Beyond academics, what does it offer you? What is the mission of the university? Does it have the same values that you have? What is the size, diversity of population? Where's the location? What are your opportunities for extracurriculars and involvement, right? You're thinking about all these different things. Can you work on campus? What is housing like? What are the university traditions that are super fun that you get to get involved in when you're a student on campus? Beyond the campus itself, you need to think about also the local community and what might be most important to you there. Are you located in a city? Are you in a rural area? What are transportation options? Do most students walk around campus, or is it a commuter campus where students are driving to and from and living at home with their folks? What kind of offerings are available in the area that you're in that town? Amenities, do you want to be in a big city where you have lots of shops or restaurants? Does that not bother you as much? And then also, I think an important thing to think about that students don't always consider is how involved is the community with the university? That can make a big difference when you're moving from the country that you've lived in your whole life to somewhere new. You want to get a sense if you feel like the community will be a place where you feel like you can belong. I mentioned this before, opportunities for professional experience. And in addition to all the cool opportunities with research or sports or arts or culture on a campus, you do want to think about what you can do to get professional experience while you're a student. You want to go to a university that has top opportunities potentially for academics, but you really also want to think about other opportunities for professional experiences while you're a student. How the university helps you find those opportunities. Are there student orgs that will fit with that? And also an important thing too is the alumni network. What is that looking like at that university? Do you have a strong alumni network that you can turn to for potential opportunities? And then we're just going to round this out before we go into talking about how you can narrow down your actual fit, because I'm giving you so many things to consider. Admissions is also a huge part of fit, all right? We are looking at you and whether or not we feel like you'll be a good match for our institution. So you want to have an understanding of what we're looking for in your application. How do we review your application? What do we take into consideration? What is considered most important? What is considered something that's maybe a little bit less important? What do we require of you? This can tell you a lot about the institution itself as well with their admissions philosophy. How much do your interests match what I have to offer at my institution for you? And do your academic aptitudes match that of the institution you're applying to? And then, of course, finances and scholarships. You need to consider the overall estimated cost of attendance. What is included in that cost of attendance? Are there opportunities for scholarships? How can you go about getting those opportunities, and are jobs available on campus? Cost of attendance can vary widely across the US, and we all have different ways that we award scholarships, different ways that we do things with financial aid in some cases. So don't assume that just because one university does one thing one way, it means that another university is doing it the exact same way. So now that you're considering all these different options, along with fit and what you feel like might be a good fit for you, How do you narrow down your list? How do you actually go about making your list and narrowing down the 4,300 universities in the US down to maybe 10, 15, 20, whatever you feel like is a good number for you to apply to? Number one, I would say write down what is most important to you for fit. If your parents are involved in helping you make this decision about where you want to go to school, ask them to make a list as well, maybe 10 things that are the most important thing to you for fit, and see how your list compares to their list. Because moving forward, you'll want to make sure that you're on the same page with your parents as to what you feel like is most important and what they think is most important. Otherwise, you're going to apply a bunch of places and later on going to have some really interesting conversations with your parents potentially. So make sure that you are comparing and working with your parents while you're potentially doing this if they're involved in your decision-making process. So after you write down what is most important to you for fit, you should rank generally these qualities by importance to you. I like to bucket them into three kind of different areas. What is something that is a must-have? What do you absolutely need at that university to have success? What is kind of a second-tier thing, something that you would like to have that you think is important, but maybe not the most important thing in your decision-making process? And finally, what of these things that is most important to you would be considered a tiebreaker? So if you're looking at two institutions and they seem very similar, they have your must-haves, they have something you would like. What could be that one little thing that might put one university above the other in your list? Okay, lots of times a tiebreaker can be a gut reaction type thing, and that's totally fine. Use your gut when you're doing this search because lots of times your instinct and how you feel can really influence your decision making potentially well when you're making this list. Number three, then take the universities that you feel like you're interested in and rank how each of these universities fits each of the criteria you mentioned above, okay? I've seen students who make gigantic spreadsheets and they have a really crazy numerical system of 1 to 10. It works for them. I have other students that I've seen who make a list of what's most important, put yes, no's, and they have it narrowed down super quick. So kind of think about what's easiest for you and how much you really want to like blow that up or like make it bigger. What's the easiest way for you to have a ranking system in your head of how many universities you feel like fit for you and where they match your criteria? Make sure that you are including admissions criteria in this as well. As I mentioned before, they're also looking for matches too. So you might be looking at certain information, but make sure you're also including admissions criteria for fit too, along with housing, etc. Whatever else is important to you. And finally, allow your list to evolve, but make sure that you keep a core set of must-haves. The further you get into your search, you're likely to find something that you didn't realize was important to you at the beginning, but is really super important later on. So allow your list to evolve, allow yourself to make changes, talk with your parents, but try and keep a core set of must-haves that you can always return to and use as benchmarking as you move along with your list. Here I have some resources for how you can go about narrowing down your list. So I just told you to make a list, but you have 4,300 universities to consider. How can you actually narrow that down? So if you're thinking about fit, EducationUSA has a wonderful worksheet that I think you can start with. If you Google define your priorities or talk to any of your advisors, I'm guessing they have this worksheet. You can also do a simple Google search of fit worksheets for college, and you can come up with all kinds of different options there for how to think about fit and how to put universities into fit and what fit might be for you. For actually going about researching universities, I've listed a bunch of different things here. Most of these have basically databases that you can go in and pick what's most important to you, and it'll narrow down the college searches. I think Big Future College Board is one of the better ones. The USA Department of Ed one and NCES College Navigator is a little bit old school. I don't really like how they're set up as much, but they're also good options, very indifferent, impartial kind of search options for you. And then, of course, there's the Princeton Review and Fisky's Guide to Colleges. Those are third-party organizations that have these great guides and things. I would say no matter what you do, don't just rely on one of these for all your information. I find that sometimes they aren't updated the same, or statistics are presented in a different way. And so they might not narrow down or might not present the most updated information that would fit kind of what you're looking for. So if you want to use Big Future College Board, pair that with the Princeton Review so you can kind of get a really like multifaceted view of the university that you're looking at and how it narrows down. Yes. Is there anything else? No. Okay. Some more tips. How you can go about getting information about the university and figuring out your fit and narrowing down your list. Number one, explore university websites. That is where you will get the bulk of your material on the university itself. You can explore other websites too. There are lots, of course, message board websites and different places you can look for information about a university. But I will just say, beware of websites like College Confidential or Reddit or any kind of website like that. I find that there's not always truthful information being shared on those websites. Some good things too if you're talking to different students individually, etc. But don't take everything as the gold standard if you're looking at those websites. Always check in with the university itself if you're reading anything about criteria, statistics, etc. Because the university itself is the place that's going to have the most updated information. Do what you're doing right now. Do online virtual visits, webinars, college fairs. Lots of stuff happening virtually right now in the world. It can get kind of boring just listening to somebody talk a whole lot, but do the most that you can. So you're all doing a great step with that right now. Check out if there are opportunities at universities to ask current students information or talk to ambassadors. Right now at UW Madison, well, I think this is only for admitted students, but hopefully they open it up for more students. You can talk to a tour guide right now virtually. You, of course, can go on social media and find students at places as well. But most universities, many of them, will have an opportunity for you to talk to current students or ambassadors, depending on the program that you're interested in. Stay up to date on current news at the university. University websites will put information that's important that they want you to see. They want you, to have that information. But websites and news outlets can also have current news on the university. That's another place to get more information about the institution, about the community, etc. So for Madison, we have Channel 3000. That's a news website, etc. like that. Look into the areas around the campus and try and follow the current news at the university and what's happening and what changes are being made. Follow social media accounts and blogs, both the university's social media accounts, and if you find students who go, that's always fine. Universities do blogs, but like I said before, if you're going to do any of this, make sure that you don't take what one student says or what one advisor says as the gold standard and as the rule. Always be critical, use your critical thinking skills that you're going to have to use in college, and really kind of get a rounded view of information about a university. And finally, contact admissions counselors. This is literally my job, is to help you. Please reach out to us. You absolutely make my day when you get an email and I get to talk all about the university. This is what we are here for, is to help you figure out whether or not our university is a good fit for you. So speaking about fit and how you can kind of look at examples of fit, I'm going to use my own university now as an example, just so you can kind of get an idea of some of the major things we were talking about with fit. So University of Wisconsin-Madison, academics. We have 130 almost majors across 8 schools and colleges. Top-notch academics. We're a large public research institution. We have 30,000 undergraduate students. The research institution part means that while we focus on teaching a lot, most of your faculty members will be doing some kind of research. They're all really moving the world forward. You'll have lots of opportunities on campus for great academics, but also if you're interested in research as well. My university offers undergraduate degrees all the way through master's and doctorate degrees. You may find there are other institutions that only offer bachelor's degrees or only offer bachelor's and master's. It can kind of give you a sense of what's available at the institution as well. We are located in the capital. Madison's the capital of Wisconsin. It's the capital city. That means there are lots of opportunities for internships, jobs, theaters, whatever you want as far as the location goes, right? 250,000 residents. It's a city, not overly big, like, it's not Chicago, but it's also not in a rural area either. Good-sized city. So that's the campus community area and the local community area. Now, when you're thinking about campus community and what you can be involved in, we have 1,000 student organizations, 20 residence halls. The food is incredible. I wish that I could still eat the food right now in the residence halls. So good. I'm just cooking for myself a lot and I'm getting really bored with that. Lots of things to be involved in. And then when you're thinking about admissions philosophy fit, we are competitive, selective, and holistic. So when we review your applications, we're looking at you as a whole person, and everything you send to us matters and is important. Academic excellence is the most important piece for us, but we're looking at everything that you send to us. My favorite suggestion for you when you're in the college search is to ask your admissions counselors, what makes your institution unique? I know that there are some admissions counselors that are like, we get this all the time, but I love this question because you can get a really good sense of how your admissions counselor feels about your institution based on how they answer this question and how they talk about the university, I feel like. So what makes UW Madison unique? Especially too when you're looking at institutions that seem the same and they offer a lot of the same things. This can be a really good question for you to kind of get that gut reaction of whether or not you feel like a good place would be a good fit for you. So 3 reasons we're unique. Number 1, the Wisconsin idea. The Wisconsin idea is the guiding principle of our institution. It means that we believe the benefits of an education should extend beyond the classroom and better the world. So this means that our students are taking advantage of awesome opportunities while they're a student and are actually making differences and making change happen while they're a student. Their education doesn't just exist in the 4 walls of the classroom. It extends beyond that into the community, very active student campus, lots of opportunities to be involved and get real life experience while you're a student. I also think our location is rather unique. We are located in what you would call a college town. The university is very much a part of the city. As you can see from this photo here, we are very much cosmopolitan, right downtown, part of the city itself. State Street leads directly from the campus to the capital of the state of Wisconsin, so very much connected community feel in a city. But we're surrounded by 2 lakes, so we have hundreds of miles of hiking and biking trails. If you're looking for nature, you've got that too. You really got the best of both worlds. I think our location is very unique compared to other campuses across the US. Very good place to spend 4 years and feel safe and feel supportive and have tons of opportunities. And finally, I think our alumni network is awesome. There's very much a sense of Badger fever and Badger pride. I recruit all over the world and it doesn't matter where I go. If I have a t-shirt with Bucky Badger on it, as you can see our mascot, I will find someone who says go Badgers to me. It has happened everywhere I've ever been as an admissions counselor, even if I'm just walking down the street. Badgers want to help other Badgers, and you're a Badger for life. All right, so some final tips before I let you dive into questions for finding fit and researching higher ed. Number 1, plan ahead. You're all doing that right now. Great, yay. Plan ahead. Don't get too overwhelmed by details at the beginning. Think from a higher, kind of more macro perspective at the beginning. Narrow down your choices, and then after you've applied some places and potentially been admitted, then think about the nitty-gritty details. Don't get too bogged down in statistics right away about class size ratios or about job, whatever. That can change at the university, and that can update, and that can be completely different. Don't get too bogged down by those statistics and those cute, like little tiny details right away. Consider a variety of institutions. You may think that you want to attend a very small institution in Colorado or wherever. You might already have that idea, but know that lots of institutions can offer lots of different things, and just keep an open mind. Don't just do something because it's what your friends are doing or it's what's popular or because you know the name of that institution right off the top of your head. Consider a variety, right? Keep that list of musts evolving. Beware of terminology. Lots of universities will have similar ideas, but call it different things. We just love to have different words for all kinds of stuff. So know that just because something isn't labeled the way that you might think it would be, like for example, at our institution, we have an interior architecture degree. It's interior design, but I get lots of questions from students who ask, well, what is the architecture part about it? Just a different word. Okay, so know that there's different terminology that might mean the same thing or vice versa at many different institutions. If you don't know what something is, ask, learn, take the time, do the digging. As I mentioned before, send me an email. That is what I'm here for. As I kind of started off this presentation with, there will likely be more than one good fit for you. You might have one university that you feel like is your do or die. It's the one place you want to go, but there will likely be more than one good fit for you. There might be 5, okay? There might be 10. It's all up to you and how you feel like you narrow your list. But there will be more than one. Probably not 15. Try and narrow it a little bit more than that, but there will be more than one good fit. And as I mentioned before, keep an open mind and expand your options, right? If you're working with your parents, talk about this with them, but keep an open mind about what's available to you at each institution, because many institutions have similar things and can offer you a wonderful experience no matter where you go. All right, time for questions. If you have questions, feel free to type them in now.
Thank you, Samantha. Let's take a look at the inbox here to see if we have questions. Feel free to open your mics and ask the question directly if you would like to. Otherwise, send it in writing and I'll help Sam here. This was excellent, Samantha. Great overview.
Thank you.
You know, even though, as I said, we are in the beginning, I was telling the students that we were glad to see, I don't know if you noticed, but we have here 36 people besides the 2 of us attending the session, which is a great number, which shows that we have so many people still keeping their dreams up and running, right? And then their plans open, and no matter how challenging the times are right now, we can still plan ahead and think of the things we need to organize for this opportunity of studying the US, right? So I'm glad that we have Kyle asking, I would like to ask you, how can I seek for deeper information about a university? I don't know if he means, Kyle, would you like to open your mic to say what you mean by deeper? Are you thinking of the major you were considering maybe? Because this was more general. Samantha, feel free to jump in.
I think if you're thinking about deeper, more information about
majors. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And scholarships.
So most universities will have a specific major page where it talks about the requirements for the major, the different type of classes offered, and that can just take a lot of deep diving on your part and lots of time spent on a particular website. But I think you can also, if you go onto a university website, feel free to send an email to an advisor of a major area. You might get a response back, you might not, or a professor or something about that. You can get good information potentially by emailing them. As I mentioned, don't be surprised if you don't get an answer, just because of the fact that most advisors and faculty members are considering, they're working with students already on campus. They're not focusing on prospective students. But that could be a way to kind of take a deep dive, send a respectful email, ask questions about that. As I mentioned before, kind of with talking to current students and reaching out to ambassadors, if you're able to do that and reach out to a current student and ambassador on the website, lots of websites will have this information. If you look for, Google on the website, talk to a current student. And if they have that option, that's a good way to get good information from students as well, a little bit deeper than this, kind of the general stuff that you would find on a website. But feel free to email people as long as you send the right, a well-worded, crafted email. I find that if you show interest in other people and what they do, then they will be willing to help you. Scholarships, every university has information about how their scholarship process works on their website. If you go to their website and type in scholarships, it'll come up.
Yes, thank you.
Um,
We have, I'm sorry,
Go for it.
would you like to
Nope.
go over the questions? I don't know if this is helpful for you or you want to go straight to the inbox to see.
Oh yeah, I am in there. What are universities that you consider are great and give big scholarships for international students? To be completely honest with you, I only know about my university. Scholarships and information with that, you would want to go onto each specific university's website for information about scholarships. I think that there are lots of wonderful, great universities in the United States that offer you a wonderful experience. But it's kind of up to you, as I mentioned before, to figure out what's a good university for you, what's considered the best fit for you. It's about fit. And whatever's a good fit for you will be great.
Yes, and the scholarship information might change from year to year. So the students really need to check on the ones that are the best fit for them first, and then go for the scholarship offers that they might have, right? And this can be, sometimes they bring experience from other students from previous years, from particular universities that not necessarily are offering scholarships this year. So you have to go and check on the updates every year.
Yep, exactly. And just because one student got something doesn't mean that every student gets something. It varies a lot across institution.
Yeah, true.
What are different ways of understanding the philosophy or core values of a university? So every single university should have a mission statement on their website. Every single one. If you find one that doesn't have one, send me an email of that university, because I've never found a university that didn't have a mission statement. So they should have a mission statement, and then how do they talk about whether or not they meet those values? You know what I mean? Think about the mission statement as kind of a conceptual idea, but then they should be able to talk about ways they feel like they're meeting that mission statement, or concrete ways they help students, achieve that mission. So you can dive a little bit deeper into that based on how they portray them meeting their mission statement. Sorry, I don't know if that didn't make sense.
Sure.
But you can get a sense of it when you talk to students too, and what students feel like they think their mission statement is at the university, or admissions counselors. They should be able to break it down for you too. If financial aid is paramount for you, should you make it your #1 priority on your search, or balance things is the way to go? I think we kind of already talked about this.
Yes.
Think about fit overall and make it a balance. But I understand if financial aid is #1 for you, but know that information can be different from year to year, depending on the institution. Unless you have more you want to add, Annalise. With that.
Let's see. Yeah, definitely. I think we have a question from an advisor about teaching methodologies. Different topic. Some are more theoretical and others are more hands-on, or learning by experience and doing. That's the experiential learning, right?
Yeah.
I think it has to do, yeah.
I do think that some universities have different teaching methodologies. In general, U.S. higher ed might be considered, a lecture, a class, discussion, that kind of a thing. But I would say that, yes, different places have different teaching methodologies. Some definitely are more theoretical, depending on the class size and the size of the university. Other places might be more hands-on. It might offer more opportunities for experiential learning. I would say, yes, they're different, but many are the same too.
I was going to say
that their methodologies.
Yeah, the methodologies has sometimes to do with the size of the university, and it is aligned with the philosophy and core values. So that's something that you should start reading, right? When you were researching universities, is to look for the I like that session about the university and the history of the university, because that's where, besides reading about the mission and values, you see how the institution was established and their goals and the way that they want to see the community, you know, the learning environment and all. So that will tell you what type of university that is, and it is a good fit for you, right? And you think of the environment you want to be when you are in a foreign country, in a different culture, in learning in a second language and all. So, yeah, this research is really important.
Yeah, I think you can also ask admissions counselors how they feel classes are taught. This would be a super deep dive, but you could, as a student, you could search for a syllabus of a certain class and get a sense of what some of the activities are that they have to do as a student. But that kind of goes along with, like, don't get bogged down on that super, like, detailistic thing right away. Start with the history of of the university, the mission, the value statement, talk to admissions counselors. You know, some universities even have videos of classes posted online. So you can see that there too.
Yeah. There is someone asking about aerospace engineering, if you would have that field of study.
We have aerospace engineering as part of our engineering physics degree. So it's an area of focus in engineering physics or engineering mechanics. Yeah, it does exist, and we have people who take that focus and move on with that, and who do co-ops with NASA, SpaceX, the whole 9 yards. So it's definitely an option for sure. I think there was one too, if we have scholarships and or financial aid for international students. So this is here at UW Madison, we do our scholarships very different than many other places. So for any student who's interested in scholarships, we have a specific scholarship hub that when you apply to the university, you get a net ID and password. You take that net ID and password and put it on the scholarship hub, and any scholarships you qualify for will be located on that WISH scholarship hub. We don't automatically award merit aid or anything like that. We do have two scholarships specifically for international students. One is the King Mortgage Scholarship Program. This is a competitive scholarship because we only offer 6 a year, but it's a 4-year full tuition, full ride scholarship. So if you Google UW Madison International Scholarships, it'll be the first one that comes up. We're looking for students who are hoping to go back into their community, help their community with their degree. But that's the big one. And then we do have a Latin American scholarship that's only offered for 1 year, your first year on campus. And we give out 2 of those. So scholarships depend, and more scholarships come available the longer that you're on campus for us. Yeah.
Okay, good. Right, so I think we covered all the questions here. And as we always say, this is wonderful. You know, the guidelines you were sending are so nice, but we always recommend the students to go back to advisors and, you know, narrow down their options and clarify the questions, or navigate through the website to get a better sense of where to find the information and all. So it's great that they get the idea or the general information with you, and now it makes more sense to go and do it individually, right? So remembering that we have our 39 centers in Brazil with advisors that are trained and prepared to walk through the process with the advisees, with the students interested in applying to U.S. institutions. I see the thank yous here. And I don't see any other question. This is wonderful. It was a great audience, Sam. Thank you.
If you do have more questions, I think there are some kind of specific ones that I'm seeing here about certain academic programs. Feel free to send me an email, follow up with any of the questions that you might have about my institution in particular, or the college search process at all. Like,
yeah,
I'm happy to help and answer questions at any point in time. It's good for good fun. Yeah.
Thank you so much. So let's see, we have someone sending a note. We have a question about research. It would be to go, in this case, is someone that finished undergrad and is applying to graduate level. I don't know if you would recommend anything in terms of going to the departments.
Yeah, we do have master's degrees, and depending on what you study and what you want to study, we have so many different master's degree programs and PhDs. So depending on your area of study, we likely potentially have it. But I don't work with graduate students, so I don't have specific information related to that.
Yes, yes. We mentioned in the beginning, this would be targeting the undergrad applicants. Mm-hmm. But I appreciate your answer. Thank you so much, Samantha. And have a nice afternoon. I know it's earlier there. I hope you enjoy your afternoon and your week. And if you need anything from EducationUSA, stay in touch. We can plan future sessions on other topics too. We know it's always a good opportunity for all of us.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you all so much. Feel free to reach out at any point in time.
Enjoy your spring day. Hopefully
it's you too.
Better. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Até, pessoal, vou encerrar a sessão colocando o EducationUSA à disposição de todos. Procurem a gente na rede, tá? educationusa.org.br ou BR, ou no Insta, ou no Facebook. Vocês sempre vão ter acesso. Obrigada, Jeff, tá mandando aqui nosso endereço para vocês seguirem. Sempre temos sessões como essas, é só procurar a gente. Obrigada, uma boa tarde a todos.